the next captain of this team, you probably get asked this a lot. Is it Dylan Larkin? Should it be Dylan Larkin? Because I have some real concerns about not Larkin versus somebody else, but just picking Larkin at all. This is a guy that was very immature coming up. I don't know how much your experience bears this out, but we've talked about it in the past on this show where had a reputation for partying, showing up to practice, 2 seconds before, just making it. I don't know if you've heard any of this stuff. I saw him personally.
I've only been on the beat for 2 seasons.
I know, but you're around it. I've heard in the last year or so, he's like completely buttoned up. But I wonder, is that the next captain when you think, not to be a snobby purist, but you think Yzerman, Lidstrom, Zetterberg, Larkin would be the answer that doesn't fit with those other 3. I mean, this is like which one of these doesn't belong. I have concerns, not that captain is a little bit overrated anyway, but I have concerns. Do you think he is the guy and should be the guy?
Yeah, I think he is the guy and should be the guy because he is the guy. Like, he's a guy who, you go through the locker room and you want to know, who do you go to after they get run off the ice, who's going to give you the best explanation for it, and it's Dylan Larkin. And when I got onto the beat, I was a little intimidated by Larkin because it was my first full-time beat. This is your beat, you own this, and he was kind of the guy who everyone looked to, and it was like, okay, well, how do I approach this guy and ask him for this or that, and so that was an interesting process. But in 2 years, I feel like I did a story with Dylan toward the end of last year where we just talked about what is the effect of a season like this on you, and I felt like the way that he took the experience and kind of contextualized it and basically was already using it to fuel him. The quote, I think, was like, "It's hardened me," or something like that. And it was very self-aware. It was very not woe is me. It was very, I have to take this and make it make me better, because what's the other option? Those were kind of the vibes that interview gave off. And I think it's exactly the standard that you want to set. And so, in my opinion, I think he is the guy, and I think he's the guy that they would look to, the guy he sets the tone for them in every practice. Like, he's going all out. So I don't, like you said, I don't have familiarity with stuff you're talking about. I'm also not sure I would let it change my mind that much. I care more about who somebody is than anything else.
And I think he has changed, but it's just a lot of it's personal experience. Some of it's rumors, which I can't talk about because you're getting into slander territory, because it's hearsay. But, I know personally, I saw him out in Royal Oak like night before a game his rookie year. He's not 21. You can put 2 and 2 together there. I'm not going to ask you to comment on that because it puts you in a bad spot.
Right.
But I'll say it because I saw it. Look, most of the players do it. We have Colin Coward on the desk here, and he's a guy that we love on our show. Coward always talks about, like, I don't care if my wide receiver is out partying so much. I don't care if my cornerback is. I don't want my quarterback to be the party guy. The question around Larkin is, do you want your captain to be that guy? Maybe he's not that guy anymore, but those were sort of the whispers early on in his career. We can talk a little bit off the air about his reputation amongst some opponents in his league for being kind of a jackass. And like he's, there's some red flags there. I'm not saying absolutely not. I'm concerned.
No, I hear you. I mean, like, for me, I wrote this today. I want my opponents to think my top center is a jackass.
That's fair.
I want them to hate playing against my top center, right? Like, I want
they all hate Patrice Bergeron, and yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
So, I hear what you're saying. I just, in all of my experiences with Dylan, I've talked to many people around him, obviously in the last couple of years. I don't hear very many bad things about him. Now, I know what my job is. I know people can be cautious around me because if they think if they say the wrong thing, whatever, here or that. But, everything I've heard about Dylan makes me say that this guy not only is a leader, but is a guy who sets the standard. And I think those two things go hand in hand. I mean, ultimately what it comes down to, and someone told me this recently, I thought it made all the sense in the world, is that if you're going to be the captain, obviously people think about it as like addressing the room or whatever. And I'm sure there's some of it that goes with it. But the other thing is, like, if you're going to talk about those things, you have to be able to go do them, right? Dylan Larkin goes and does the things that you want your captain to tell other people to do, to battle, to play hard till the end. Like he's the guy that in the last minute and a half on of a loss is the one who makes it at least like, oh, maybe they're gonna cut it to 1 here with the empty net or whatever. Like that's him. Anthony Mantha is their best scorer, but in the last minute and a half, who's more likely to score you a goal? I think it's Dylan.
Oh, before you go to another tab, please like, subscribe, and follow for more clips and highlights. Good? Okay.
See, beautiful. That's a natural at work.